see, I come from entrepreneurship world. Entrepreneurship in the primary boils into how do you identify an opportunity, create something, figure out a relevant product market fit, figure out how to scale business model, all of that.
Yes.
A lot of entrepreneurs also, listen to you. They want to create big things.
Yes.
They want to build strong teams and all that. So what are some of the, concepts or tools you think, entrepreneurs can pay more attention to, for is getting inspired from, our ancient heritage?
One has to, again, I always look at nature, right? If you define business as I'm giving you goods and services in order to get revenue, simple definition. So I'm either going to give you goods or a service, right? So let's ask ourselves, what are the goods we need? What are the services we need? And we can actually break down everything in this world to that, right? So, our hunger manifests, as what is the thing which makes us alive? We are hungry. We want things. As human beings, what do we want? We want resources, we want power, and we want knowledge. That's a vague word which I will use, but let's look at hunger. Mere ko bhook lagi hai. Now, when I use this word hunger, people keep saying needs, wants, and all these. These are very primitive and outdated definitions. Why do you want to buy a luxury goods? Let's ask ourselves a question. A bag which costs 100 rupees to make, why will I sell it for 20,000 rupees? And I gave this lecture and I said, brand ka matlab kya hai? Hindi mein bolo. And they would give me these complicated answers. I'll say, nahi, औकात. Tum औकात kharidte ho. When you have a Louis Vuitton bag, you're telling the world that you have arrived. If you can afford a Louis Vuitton bag without the Louis Vuitton logo, then you have really arrived. If you have a Louis Vuitton bag with their logo written on top of it, Louis Vuitton, फिर आप new rich हो.
Right.
You don't understand what is wealth. So then they start understanding, now what is it giving me when I buy a brand, when I buy a luxury good? It makes me feel powerful. So power makes me feel less frightened.
Correct.
When I walk into the room, I'm less frightened. I feel confident कि मैंने कुछ achieve किया है life. So I said, suddenly, what is the good you're giving? What is the service you're giving? You're giving people the opportunity to feel powerful. Look at the advertising we have. My daddy's strongest was a line for a car. How does a daddy become strong when the car is big? That's what a brand manager does. He figures out what power does he give. So you're not buying a commodity. So at the end of the day, it comes down to hunger and fear. Now some businesses say, I don't care for brand. I know some businesses who don't bother with brand. They bother with commodity, but then they are monopolistic. So they function very differently. They'll say, you want this, you will only get it from me now. So I will kill competition.
Right.
Or I will just have one competition who I'll really control.
Correct.
To give us, pseudo monopoly. I'll break monopoly in a very false way or create a cartel.
Right.
Because all your goods and services only I will supply. I will be the source through which you will supply goods. So that's a one commodity-based business, the other brand business. So if you look at the top 10 people in the world versus the top 10 people in India, and you start asking, okay, where is their money coming from? You'll see the top 10 people in the world, some of them are brand builders, some of them are innovators. But in India, usually they are controlling resources, mining, so basically these guys have to manage the government and license. They're not innovators. They're not coming up with new ideas. Or they don't create brands which are imaginary. Some of the richest people in the world right now are the biggest brand creators. So they are all satisfying hunger.
Right. And in a lot of these, business in the commodities or very large scale business or top 10, a lot of them are barring probably a few, not first generation entrepreneurs. People who have been in the system for a long period of time through merit or whatever other means, right? But they've been product of the system anyways. But let's say, look at the same thing from the lens. So, today, India, entrepreneurship is very cool. You mentioned Shark Tank, that is the ultimate commoditization of the idea of entrepreneurship, right? So, speaking to an entrepreneur, someone who is, and somewhere, you have done entrepreneurship in, mythology space, you created something out of nothing, right? And so, when somebody in that journey, मेरे को अपना job छोड़ के कुछ नया चालू करना है. What can that person study or look at? What could be a relevant concept to decide कि ये करना भी चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए? Risk reward trade off is worth it or not? The journey of self discovery the person will go through. How can
I think you should start noticing people around you and asking how are they generating wealth. Let's ask this question. Right from your house, many people don't even know how wealth comes into their own houses. why is the father doing a job rather than a business? Your friends, some of your friends have come from business families. In India, they'll use this word, wo to baniya hai, wo to kayast hai. We use these crude words, but the thing is, koi naukar hai, koi chakar hai. These, by the way, naukar chakar word comes from the Mongols. They were the first professionals in the world. Naukar was the soldier, and chakar was the accountant who would offer his services for money.
I didn't know that.
This is the origin of these words, which we use contemptuously.
These are Mongolian words.
These are Mongol words.
Wow.
They came with the Mongols. Central Asian words, really. But the point is that how do you generate wealth? How does your maid generate wealth? How does your cook generate wealth? How does your panwala generate wealth? When you start thinking and you start asking these questions, your mind starts asking, because whether you're working for a multinational or you're working for a panwala, the rules don't change. You all need a balance sheet. You all need a cash flow. You deal with debt. You deal with equity. You deal with investments. You deal with shareholders. And I've seen, I go to these big MBA colleges, I said, tell me the 10 licenses that your panwala outside your thing does it. And they're clueless. I said, hafta ke matlab batao, hafta kya hai? And they start laughing. They think I'm cracking the joke. I said, no. He has to pay every week something.
Right.
What is taxation?
Correct.
And that they don't think the bribery. I said, no, bribe words are all are moral words.
Right.
It's a flow of money. Lakshmi ko pata nahi hai whether it's a tax or a bribe or a thing. Lakshmi is Lakshmi.
Right.
So then they start thinking, and because they say Lakshmi chanchal hai. So say Lakshmi is wealth is always restless. It has no value in your wallet. It has only value when you move. And I'm saying these are economic principles, right? So when you're reading the economic books, but you're not actually applying them. Tell me the ROI of this fellow. Tell me the ROI here. How much customers are happening? Every university has a tapri wala outside. There is a dhaba wala outside. He knows that your canteen is not, like I walked into one of these liberal art institutes which are built nowadays by these very rich. So I walked in and said, we are a liberal art institute. I said, non-veg bechte ho aap? So I knew they don't, because I knew who the owners are. I said, they will not allow non-veg food. And he sheepishly smiled. And I said, which means immediately there's an opportunity for an alcohol. There must be an alcohol thing outside. There must be this thing outside. I said, you have just created a black market, right? There is this, obviously. And he looking at me, why are you talking like this? I said, you're a business school, right? I want to check who is doing the bootlegging in your... And he said, but I said, that is entrepreneurship. ऐसे तो होता है, demand है. There are people coming from Northeast India who want to eat pork and beef, but you have said you can't eat pork and beef in this campus. You can't eat egg in this campus, which means they will want to go there. Bhook hai, which means there's a business opportunity out there. So somebody has figured it out. Somebody's already created the market. The logistics are already sorted out. There are people to travel there. The system exists. Right. It's just that you don't know about it.
Right.
And that's what a businessman does. Usko, kachra ka dher dikha do, usko opportunity dikhai deta hai.
Right.
He turns everything into an opportunity because the question is whether I want to get into that opportunity.
Right.
As you said, risk reward kitna hai. You're desperate. So you will get into spaces where nobody else will go.
Right. Can you think of any, story or character from mythology which is about journey of self-discovery? कि मुझे कैसे पता चलेगा कि एक्चुअली मैं कौन हूँ? क्योंकि एंटरप्रेन्योर जर्नी शुरू में ना आपके पास स्टार्टअप कैपिटल होती है, कभी फैमिली का सपोर्ट होता है, कभी नहीं होता है, बहुत टाइम तक कभी जो सक्सेस नहीं होती है, कभी भी नहीं होती है, बहुत
sometimes in the
what mental models one can think of to come to terms with that journey जो आपकी हो सकता है genuine authentic journey है, but you are just
see, every plant is struggling to survive, every animal is struggling to survive, and you are a human being, you are also struggling to survive. Right. So there is no escape from the struggle. As I said, war will never end. What is this war? War of survival. We use words like, in nature, what is success? It is alive. It just means alive. And honestly, that's the only meaning even in our lives. Do you live a comfortable life? Happy life. We use these words now. For which you need money, for which you need power, for which you need knowledge, for which you need friends. Plants also going through the same struggle. So, if you look at the oldest entrepreneur story comes from the Jatakas, Chelini Jataka. It's a very famous story of this mouse merchant, it is called in English, the mouse merchant, where a poor man who has nothing is walking and he hears a merchant say that the dead rat on the road can be capital. So he says, well, how can it make money? And he holds a dead rat in his hand when he finds a cat trying to get the rat, and he doesn't give it to the cat, and the cat belongs to a very rich man. And he looks at the man, says, "Arey, de do usko," and he gives him 1 copper coin. Kasha pana deta hai usko. So he got his first copper coin with a dead rat. And then he realized, oh, wherever there is hunger, there is an opportunity. So he starts with this 1 rupee, says, where is the next place there is hungry? And he realized, oh, everybody is entering the market, wants water. But there is no water. So he uses 1 pot to buy a pot of water, and he collects water from the public well, which is available for all. But instead of people going to the well, he goes on the road and says, if you're thirsty, you can drink this water. And they drink the water, and everybody who is going gives him a part of their goods, and then gradually his capital increases, and the story just keeps going and on and on. But basically, it's a mercantile thing that if you, jahan opportunity dikhai diya, to usko tumne exploit kar liya. In my case, I realized that people use the words mythology, but they don't understand it. They use the word management, I realize they don't understand it. They use words, all these Hindi big words, and these Shastris will use, and all these Gurujis use, and I'm like, even the Guruji doesn't know it, because he's not really, or he's read a little book, he's read 10 books. Then you read 100 books, and then you are like, okay, now I am in the market, and I'm in the market. If you read 10 books, I'll give 100 books. So you start thinking like that. I think that you should realize that you're not driven by your ego. It's just survival. I have to survive in this world, for which I need an income, for which I need to provide the world with goods and services. That's the law of nature. To make goods, even if you're not working, you are still providing goods and services. Managing a house, you're managing the house. I mean, nowadays in Instagram, I keep hearing these jokes where these children say that I'm ugly, but at least I'll have a government job, so I'll get the girl. And I'm listening to the story, and I'm saying the girl is marrying you for your job, not for you. It's going to be an unhappy married life. But he's not thought like that. They're children. You don't realize that getting the girl is not marriage.